Welcome to this explainer. So what actually happens when local protocols and federal laws completely crash into each other? Well, today we're dissecting a fascinating real-world case out of Massachusetts. It involves an undocumented suspect, a violent assault charge, and a massive, literally textbook jurisdictional tug-of-war. If you've ever wanted to understand how our layered justice system actually operates in practice and sometimes completely contradicts itself, you are absolutely in the right place.
I want you to keep this one big question in the back of your mind as we go through this. What happens when local police and federal immigration agencies simply do not align? Normally, they operate on parallel tracks. Local authorities handle immediate public safety, and the feds manage the borders and immigration. But when those tracks cross, the resulting friction brings deep political and legal tensions right to the surface.
Section 1. The Worcester Altercation. A local dispute escalates. Okay, let's dive into the specific local incident that kicked this entire sequence of events into motion.
Right, so according to the police report, the initial crime here was pretty straightforward, but definitely violent. Deval Amritbhai Patel, who is an undocumented Indian national working at a local liquor store, got into a really heated argument with a customer. And rather than de-escalating the situation, Patel allegedly grabbed a baseball bat and struck the man. Worcester police arrested him on May 16th for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Now, at this exact moment, it's just a standard local police matter. But that was about to change.
Section 2. Jurisdictions in conflict. The release and the loophole. Following this violent incident, we see a major procedural split happen between Massachusetts authorities and the federal government.
So, here is the exact mechanism that caused the rift. Massachusetts operates under what are known as sanctuary policies. Basically, these are local protocols specifically designed to limit police cooperation with federal immigration enforcement, namely ICE. Because Patel was an undocumented immigrant, federal authorities had an active, immediate interest in him. Yet, under these local sanctuary rules, Patel was processed for his assault charge and then simply released from jail back into the public. And here's the kicker, with zero notification sent to ICE.
You can really see the core of the conflict here. On one side, you've got the Massachusetts local system, which dictates that a suspect, even one facing a violent weapons charge, can be released without ever alerting the feds. On the other side, the Department of Homeland Security expects full cooperation. In their view, if local police have an undocumented individual in custody, ICE should automatically be notified so they can intervene before a release happens. So we have two jurisdictions and two completely incompatible rulebooks.
Section 3. Federal Intervention by ICE. A timeline of arrests. Let's shift our focus to how federal authorities navigated this local release.
Putting this timeline together really puts the friction into perspective. Sometime after his initial May 16th arrest, Patel is released from local jail under those sanctuary protocols we just talked about. No alert is given. But look at the speed of what happens next. By May 18th, we're talking just 48 hours later, federal ICE agents track down and rearrest Patel themselves. Because the local jail wouldn't hand him over, the federal agency had to actively go out into the community to secure the suspect.
Section 4. The political fallout. DHS responds to the release. And as you might expect, there was a very strong institutional reaction to this.
A 48-hour turnaround for a federal agency to track down a recently released suspect, that creates some intense operational frustration. Following the rearrest, ICE Acting Assistant Secretary Lauren Biss issued a very pointed statement. She said, quote, "Sanctuary politicians must stop choosing to release criminals into our communities and work with DHS to get criminals out of country." This really perfectly encapsulates the severe frustration the federal government holds toward local sanctuary rules.
The statement concluded by saying that refusing ICE cooperation is, quote, putting the safety of their citizens at risk. That is the core federal argument right there. Public safety is jeopardized when a violent suspect hits the streets due to a lack of communication. Now, on the flip side, proponents of sanctuary policies argue that these exact rules encourage undocumented communities to actually interact with police without the constant fear of deportation. But in this specific Worcester case study, we clearly see the immense operational roadblock it created for Homeland Security.
Which brings us to the ultimate question we have to ask ourselves. How does this friction between sanctuary policies and federal mandates ultimately impact community safety and legal processing? When local and federal systems fight for jurisdiction over the exact same individual, it creates legal gaps, delays, and honestly, deep political divides. So, take these facts, look into how your own local jurisdictions operate, and ask yourself, where should the line between local autonomy and federal authority really be drawn? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.